Cool Hand Podcast, something you got to deal with. Welcome back to the show. I am your host. My name is Q. We have another guest in the building, special guest, because when you think about people who aren't in the limelight, people who keep to themselves, if there was an illustration in the dictionary for private, it would be this guest that we have on today. Um, Guest, can you please introduce yourself?
Wow, that's a nice compliment. I'm Jonathan McKeithen, the father of crowded places.
See, I didn't even know you were going to say all of that. I wasn't going to say it. I wasn't going to say who you're related to and all that other stuff. But
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I gotta give him his props, man. Father of crowded places.
what's your stage name? Because I'm going to refer to you as your stage name.
Oh, I use Jony Who. I got Catamus Quick, but Jony Who mostly. I no one calls me that. They call me John. Some people call me Johnny, but no one calls me Jony Who.
Today
I
you
just made
were
that up.
Today you're Jony, who I even have that on
That's fine.
my little notes.
That's fine.
Now, first things first, I have something. Now, Jony, who is very giving person, knew him my whole life. Well, he knew me my whole life. Obviously, there's an age
Mhm.
difference. His son and I are good friends. Now, when I graduated from my trade school, for everybody listening out there, I got a nice gift, a beautiful gift, and it was this watch here. I don't know if you could see it that well in the camera and everything, but it's not ticking. Like the battery died a long time ago, but it looks good on my wrist. It looks amazing on my wrist. This is one of my favorite watches that I own. So he has good taste in watches.
Yeah,
Just
thank
a
you.
little a little side about Jony Who, but anyway, thank you for being on. Uh we have some exciting things to talk about,
Mhm.
some things that we've been working on that I've been having the privilege to be a part of. And we'll talk about that a little later. Something for the creatives out there. But let's get to know Jony Who. First of all, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm doing really well. I'm very happy in spite of all that's going on. Focusing on the positive things, and knowing that this is all leading to something really good.
Mhm.
You know, so
That's right. Yeah, finding the positive
yeah,
in a tough situation
absolutely.
like this pandemic.
Hmm.
So, who is Jony Who? What all do you do creatively? You have this extreme background that everybody can see. Um, but so the background kind of gives you away, but what do you do? What can you do? What do you do creatively?
Um, I when it comes to being creative, that's the happiest time of my life. Cooking. I've been doing more cooking than anything else. I love to cook. Just I always say that that's one of the greatest gifts that Jehovah gave us was the gift to be able to create like him, to take some raw materials and to make something out of it. And musically, obviously, I grew up around music, and music is part of me. And I'm convinced that people that are into music, that's just who you are. You do music because you have to. I'm finding that out as I'm getting older. Growing up, as I didn't know my father. So I've always had a lot of questions about where or why I do what I do or why I feel what I feel. You think sometimes that life has made you that way, which it does. Um, but sometimes it's a lot deeper than that. I've learned a lot actually from Samson, about myself. And my grandparents were musicians, my grandmother professional musician, so I've always attributed it to that. But in the last few years, I would say in the last 7, 8 years or so, I had found out that my biological father actually wrote a record. He wrote two songs and they made some noise. And I was pretty surprised by that. Matter of fact, I just got the 45. He wrote a song for the Carnations. They were out of Bridgeport, Connecticut. Him and this another, I think it was a lady or something that they wrote. The title of the song is "Long Tall Girl" by the Carnations, and his name is Jonas McKeithen. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Oh yeah, I can see that pretty well.
Probably.
It's
I don't know if
trying to
that's,
focus. Long
yeah,
tall
it's a
girl, yeah, by
little
the
blurry, but if you
Carnations.
looked it up on YouTube, you'll find it. Long Tall Girl, and then he wrote the B side here. Is there such a whirl? And my mother never really told me about that until later on. She kept saying he was trying to manage a band, So she was like, "Oh, you're a lot like your father." He wanted to manage a band, but um, I've often wondered because, like I said, I have a passion for sounds. I love sounds. I love the way that things look. When people see all this stuff, it's just like decoration to me. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
because most of the equipment I use, I have like two main drum machines that I kind of use, and I'm planning on getting into this stuff, and I do use it, a little bit, but the music drives me. Um, I get a lot of inspiration from old B movies, old movies. I hear sounds in them or whatever, and those different things remind me of my childhood. There was I think his name is no, Barry Gray was the orchestra, right? He wrote the music for him, but wow, I was just watching. I can't think of his name. But anyway, he did what was called the Super Marionettes. They were puppets, and he had a whole series of Captain Scarlet, the Thunderbirds, um, uh, um, what was the other one? Submarine, something submarine or whatever. I have them all over here. But those kind of things like inspired me when I was a kid, back in the
Mhm.
60s, and it was cool. So when I see like nostalgic music equipment and that type of stuff, even though I don't use it, like right behind me here, I have an old delay unit, and that's one of my prized possessions. And a thing like weighs a ton, and and I never use it. You know what I mean? It's real dirty sounding and everything, but it's cool though. But just looking at it, and it brings back memories when I was a kid growing up, and we used to go with my grandparents when they played, and I was always go and help them set up. My grandfather actually is the one that taught me how to plug everything in and how to wire everything up with the sound systems and all that stuff. So I have good memories of that. You know, I remember going to their house. I used to love going in their closet because they were old gearheads back then too. They had a lot of
Mhm.
reel to reels and amplifiers and bass guitars and bass fiddles and stuff like that. So just seeing hardware, I love it. Like I use the laptop and computer to capture my music, and I do use like VST effects and everything, but I love hardware. Just being able to touch something, you know what I mean, and turn the knobs and everything else like that. And
Mhm.
I can't get away with it. I'm so glad to see that Samson's kind of getting into that whole piece of it too.
Yeah, that was one thing I was going to be sure to talk about or to mention that you don't prefer software that much. You're more
No,
of a hands-on
I don't.
hardware person. The one thing, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I know the one thing about your music is all those sounds that you hear with Jony Who's music belong to Jony Who. Those
Yeah,
no samples. No
yeah,
samples for anybody listening out there. No
yeah.
samples. He makes it
Well,
all
I
himself.
the only samples I do, and that's why I was before we started. I was showing you. I will take like movie sounds, and I'll hear music in like something will touch me in a movie, and I will grab those once in a while. And I've had some that I've been just recycling. I've used them on so many different pieces of my song. But you've heard my music, and my music is basically like soundtrack music. You know what I mean? I don't,
Oh yeah.
it's drum driven, soundtracky kind of music. But yeah, no, you're right. I purposely don't use samples other than if there was a drum beat in it. This drum machine that I use is a digital, so it has but yeah, I make all my own sounds.
Yeah. And that's what, everybody has something that makes them unique. And I think that's one of the things that make you stand out. Not only that use the difficult, I would call it difficult hardware these days rather than
Mm-hmm.
software. And the fact that, you're more into creating your own sounds. Now, music is a sound, duh, but you're creating your own individual sounds. And you got to appreciate that because that takes a little more work, probably has to be a little more tedious, and meticulous for whatever you want, however you want it to sound. But that's pretty cool. So, and by the way, he mentioned cooking first. He's an amazing cook. I've had his food.
Thank you.
I've had his food. My
Thanks.
wife has had his food. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. That whole family, that whole
I
family
enjoy it.
cooks well. Yeah, your whole
Yeah, I
family
enjoy it.
cooks. Yeah.
It's fun to me. Yeah,
So, so creatively, you grew up, in the '60s. It came down kind of like hereditary, the
it
music
did.
gene in you.
Yeah.
Um, so at what point did you really, take a liking to creating music, from listening to it to actually creating it?
When so Graham, my grandmother and grandfather always were like wanted us to take lessons all the time. And we took so many different type of instrument lessons because my grandmother was a very chord regimented musician, played the piano, played chords, and she would do that kind of thing. And I remember we went to the University of Bridgeport and we took drum lessons with this orchestral master drummer, and she paid like big money for us to go there, and I hated it. Um, then we played like the recorder. I mean, I know the school recorder, like you hear about the
Oh yeah.
recorder. We actually went to that same University of Bridgeport and we had lessons with somebody from the orchestra to play the recorder. You can't believe if you've watched The Mandalorian, that sound in the beginning that he has with the flute
Never
in
saw it.
Mandalorian.
I
Yeah,
never saw
it's really good. It's really good. But the guy Ludwig, I forget what his last name is, but he used a bass recorder. You don't think like a recorder is just like a little cheap thing but we were learning like on that kind of thing. So Graham sent us for that type of thing. And then with them playing jazz, they actually paid for me. They bought me a saxophone and I took lessons. That was the one instrument in my life that I really, for whatever reason, I think it was just the timing, I really applied myself to playing it. And I learned how to read the music and I got really, really good at playing it. I played the alto sax. Now, Graham wanted me to play tenor because tenor was cool with the jazz thing.
Yeah.
But I got really, really good at it. And I didn't like it. Honestly, I didn't care for it because bass guitar was, because Papa played the bass, my grandfather, he played the upright bass. And I just thought the bass guitar was just the coolest thing, going. And, but I learned the saxophone and I played for a while and I got really, really good. But I stopped playing the saxophone because when I was in the school band, they were big on competitions, and we would have like the schools would compete, like the saxophone section, the horn sections would compete against another school's horn section. The drum sections would compete against, and a lot of it was surrounding Christmas, the holidays and everything. And so my teacher was really frustrated because, he's got this good sax player and he's, and I'm telling him, no, I can't do this stuff. So he started making it hard on me,
Got you.
So, so I stopped playing the saxophone. The whole recording piece of things, throughout my life, I've always done things kind of differently. And it used to frustrate Graham because she's like, why are you playing like that? Don't, that's not the way you play it. You're supposed to play it this way, that, you know what I mean? It was like some set way to play it. And even when I was in school learning the saxophone, our assignments were, we had to write a song. You had to write a song, bring it into the teacher, and you had to perform it for the teacher. And I always had some really weird, strange thing that no one understood. And people were standing there looking at me like scratching their head. But, for whatever reason, it made sense to me. So then as far as recording goes, I remember distinctly, we had a tape recorder and I had a hollow bass guitar. We had a friend named Izzy. It was Izzy and my brother Christian. We had this metal chair and I told him what to do. I told Christian how to bang on the chair. He was banging on the chair, beating on the chair. And I gave Izzy a guitar and I told him, just play these notes. And he was just playing. And I took the bass and I just played the bass over top of it. And we wrote this song called Turd. It was just, it was called Turd, but we recorded. I wish I still had that tape though, but we made this recording and it was like, it was funny, it was fun. Mm-hmm. But that was like the start of kind of recording a little bit, And then we would always record like these stories. We would play like characters. It was me, my brother, my sister Angelina, and Damon was little at the time. And my older brother, well, he was around, I guess, but he didn't really like get involved or whatever with us in that regard. But we would make up these stories, and we would play them. And it was funny because the tape player had this pause button on it. And if you hit the pause button real quick, it would make your voice go, so we would change our voices and do them like that or whatever. Like I said, I wish I still had all these cassettes or whatever, but I've always been interested in that kind of thing. You know what I mean? In doing that. And not until probably, I would say 2000, Frankie Santamaro got me started on using Cakewalk on a computer. And we started out and he showed me how to start recording on a computer. And I just thought it was like the coolest thing, So it's kind of been in the making, in the past. And then I've often said it's kind of cool. I mean, I'm 56 years old. You kind of came in on the tail end of things. And then you also got to see the beginning of a lot of good things. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's been an interesting transition time period, even with the organization and everything else. It's been an interesting for the age that I'm at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now, like I said, having the computers and stuff, man, I mean, it's great, man. You can make music at home and, capture what you want. And it's, it's not simple. I don't want to say it's simple, but it's, how do I want to say it? It's a lot easier for sure.
It beats buying studio time.
Oh, that's what I'm trying. There you go. Yeah, that's
like, you think about that, entire albums are made from people's bathrooms. They record in the bathroom or a closet or something like that. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy and it's not always cheap, but it beats studio time or trying to find something. It's So so you've always been a creative person, even with the I'll just call it the single that you made with your two homies back in the day. That was a single. So now moving on, I want to talk about your specific style, and I know that you have some samples. Now you play a couple instruments or fiddle with a couple instruments these days, right?
Yeah.
Okay, can you talk about that? Just what you play or what you do with these specific instruments.
Well, I've collected instruments over the years just because I want to be self-contained. I mean, as you mentioned in the beginning, I really like to be to myself, and I kind of learned over the years, and I haven't had great experiences with working with other people, so I've kind of learned to kind of stay to myself and try to do things. Now that's good and bad in another way, because as you know, I don't like to do lyrics. And I need to do some lyrics. I really need to get into that because it would take the music to another level. That's important, but I can play whatever I need to play to get done what I need to get done. People will say, "Oh, let's get together and jam," John. And I'm like, that's not me. I'm not a I'm not a jamming style. I mean, that's not me, and it doesn't interest me. When I grew up, I was fascinated with guys, playing the bass and running up and down the neck and doing, and that it doesn't appeal to me. I like the feel and the emotion. If you play one note with the right reverb on it, and it just that's it for me, man. I'm done. Because there was a reason behind you doing that. You know what I mean? It wasn't to show off. And I'm not knocking anybody, and I hope don't sound like I'm hating them, because it takes talent to do what people do. I'm just talking about me. That type of thing didn't move me. So what I do again is if I hear something, I like the sound of something or whatever. I love synthesizers too, where you can tweak them and customize them and make them. I love effects, the different sounds and all that stuff like that. So, like I said, if I hear something in my head, or a lot of time, I guess, I don't know if you want me to, like, my creative process, I don't really have like a set process, but for the most part, I'll sit down at one of my groove boxes, and these groove boxes have drum machine in them. Like the one that I have here is this one right here is a sampler and drum machine. So you can basically kind of rough out what you want from this. This one here is the brother or sister to it, I guess sister to it. This one has a synthesizer in it. It has 5 different synthesizers that you can use. And then it all has different tracks built into this, okay? So I'll sit down and I'll say, all right, I want to, let me just see what happens. I may have a kind of a concept in my mind or whatever, but it kind of just, if I hear something and it sounds good, then I just kind of go from there and I just kind of build on it, and then I'll take it and I'll take each track that I have in here and I'll drop it into Cakewalk. I still use Cakewalk. I mean, that's old, like 3.1 Cakewalk. And I still run an XP computer and I love it. I'm like, no Ableton for me or whatever. I mean, I'm not knocking none of that. I'm not knocking any of that. I'm just saying it's not broke, so I'm not going to fix it. You know what I mean? And so I'll take, like I said, I'll take a sample. Like I said, I love samples of movies and just kind of build around it, like for instance, look, can I show you something here?
Please do. Let's get
I think you said you could hear. Yeah, I think you said you could hear it. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Isn't that really pretty?
Yes.
That's beautiful. Now, where I got that from was from a movie called Papillon, and it's a really good movie. It's a movie about a guy who was accused of killing somebody, and he got sent to this island. And that was one of the scenes. You could probably hear the water. It was like on the beach or whatever. So I heard that sample and I got it. Now, when you drop this sample into this sampler, you can change the pitch on it.
Yeah, that sounds crazy. I like that.
Now you slow it down. That's the same sample, but listen to how that vibe just changes, So I took that and I came up with this. I put some beats to it, but you can hear this here.
Jony Who in the building. Jony Who on the podcast. Hey, Jony Who.
So it's like that, okay? Then I got another one I'll show you real quick. I think it's this one here. This one I got from Hercules, an old Hercules movie. I got this sample. Pretty, ain't it? It's real pretty. You can hear them moving around.
What is this, Yoli? It was in the bottom.
And then, like I said, again, it can be changed. You can pitch it. But this is what I came up with. But that's like, so I got rough it out on here. You
I
feel
was
that?
moving.
You want to let
Yeah,
loose?
I was moving to it.
So I'll rough it out on here, and then like I'll drop it in the computer, and it ends up turning out different though. But that's just kind of like the rough ideas. It's like the song that
Yes.
you're supposed to be putting together there. So here's the quick here. I'll play that for you real quick. I know you know this song, but come on, cool hand, let it go, man. Let it go. I know you're feeling it. Let it go. You got something in you. Let it loose.
I can't
And
let
then
it
I
loose.
have the changes here. Oh, I had that was on the original one, but so that's you know
What was that?
I was just messing around there, yeah. And then one more. This is one that I'll just let you hear this one other one. I got a bunch of them here, but that's not what we're here for. This is kind of like a let it go, Q. Let it go, man.
I have
Don't hold
nothing.
it. Don't hold back. That's bad for you.
I have nothing. Thank
But
you.
anyway, so that's kind of like what I do. Anyway, I rough out on this here, and then you start adding in, different enhancements, and it ends up nothing like what you put in here.
Yeah. No, but you know what? Like you demonstrated the versatility that you work with, your range of different sounds and what you can do. And that's just the beginning, like you said, a part of the process.
Yeah.
Now you have all of this. Let's bring this all together. So we have Jony Who here, who grew up, with a musical background, strong family ties to music, played the alto sax for a while, does fiddles with the bass and guitar and in all sorts of different softwares and mainly hardware. Now we just got a sample of what you can do, some of the things that you can do. So what this shows me is you have a lot up in that cabeza. Is that right? Is that the word? Yeah.
Cabeza, yeah.
You
Yep.
have a
Cabeza, you got it. You got it.
you
Yep.
have like a merry-go-round of creativity in that cabeza. So transitioning to this idea that that you introduced, and this also has to do with your gift, and the watch signifies your gift of giving. Okay. And he's giving me more than a watch. Let me just tell a quick story. I was having a rough time in life. He
Oh, you're gonna
said,
embarrass me, man.
"Oh no, no, no." He said, "You know what? Why don't you try out the guitar? Because I listen to my indie rock and stuff like that." And he gave me this guitar. Guess what happened to that guitar, by the way? I hadn't played it for a while, but I really liked it. Um, that got ruined in my old apartment.
Oh
It
no.
was in our storage unit, and there was like a bunch of like a water leakage, and everything in our storage unit got
Got
damaged,
destroyed.
including that guitar. Yes, we were
Yeah.
very upset about that stuff that we lost. Anyway, so this creativity, and add it with the gift of giving, and we have this idea, which is called Skill Creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, this is your idea,
Mm-hmm.
and because I don't want to seem like this is my idea. I'm just a part of it. Like I'm not the brains. I'm just a very small piece. Now, can you break down what this whole idea was and the origin of Skill Creatures? All I've said is a name. What is it though?
Well, like you said, I gave you that guitar. There was a reason for that. Creativity. There's so much stuff in the world that can hurt you, and we know that. And we try to teach our young people, our young children, to stay away from those bad things. But like even the scriptures tell us, our bad thoughts need to be replaced with good things. And I think that's where a lot of parents sometimes they're afraid to allow their kids to do creative things, but those things are in them, and they're gonna they're gonna create whether you want them to or not. You know what I mean? They're gonna do something, but it helps with to keep them an even keel and and like you said, when I gave you that guitar, it was, you were going through a rough period, and I was like, hey, do something creative. I mean, like now more than ever, we need to be doing things to enjoy our lives in our homes where we're safe and we have the creative thing going. And so I have this passion for young people. A lot has to do with where, because of the way I came up. And it wasn't great. I didn't have the greatest upbringing. I didn't have the worst either. Like I said, I didn't know my father, and we had some issues and all, but I don't want to even go into that because I don't have any bad vibes or feelings about things that have happened in the past. They happen. I'm here. And if I can use, what I've been through to help people, and that's kind of where we're going with this whole thing, is I've always said, I wish I had the kind of money to open up a arena for you young people to go and do your thing. And just let, enjoy, your creative, like, clean, positive things, your own, whatever it is. If it's art, if it's music, you make movies, you take pictures, you want to show off your pictures and everything else like that. And that kind of thing, I've always wanted to have that type of a facility. I wish I had the money to do that. Well, now with COVID, this is fantastic because now we have Zoom, and everybody can stay in their own home. They have their own setup at home. And I'm like, we need to do this, man, And so the whole skill creature thing came from, I come up with these weird names all the time. And Steel Creatures was the name I thought about would be a cool name for a band, Steel Creatures. And I was telling Samson, I said, hey, what do you think about the name of Steel Creatures? And this is going back a few years ago. Samson doesn't even remember this. And he said, what'd you say, Skill Creatures? And I said, Skill Creatures. I said, that's pretty cool, man. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I said, yeah, I'm going to keep that one. He, like I said, again, he thought I said Skill Creatures, but I said Steel Creatures. So when this whole COVID thing hit, I kept saying, hey, you guys need to get together and do like a concert, some music or whatever. And, and everybody kind of liked the idea, and, we thought it would be a good idea, and we were kind of kicking it around, and, how we executed. And when you're dealing with artists, it's got to be perfect. It's got to be, what I mean? And we all have these, and I get it. I'm the same way, it's got to sound right. And I get it. Again, I'm not going to get mad at anybody for that, because that's one thing with the creative process. I have a saying, give me criticism, but don't change my creative trajectory. So in other words, be careful how you criticize somebody's creativity. Don't, if you hear somebody's stuff or you're looking at somebody's stuff, I don't like it. You know what I mean? I just don't I don't get it. That's just what it is. I just don't understand it. Like me in poetry, I don't, I don't understand poetry. I just don't. And maybe that's why I struggle with lyrics or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I do know when somebody says something that I think is really cool, but usually it's abstract and it just, like, the words are cool,
Yeah.
But I don't relate to poetry, but I'm never going to knock poetry. I get it. I read some of Kayla's stuff and I got where she was going with it because it was clear to me what she was saying. So I got it, and I could feel her expression there or whatever. But but my point is that I'm not going to knock anybody. So I want to open the doors up to something that young people can come in and they can say, hey, check this out. I'm working on this. And even though we may not get it, to say, hey, like Samson will do that with me. He'll say, hey, Dad, can you listen to this? What do you think about it? And sometimes some of the songs, honestly, I don't like the songs, but I listen to them from a productive standpoint or producer standpoint. And I'll say, Samson, you probably maybe try to do this or try to do that. I'm just thinking about that, But if that's the sound you want, then stick with it, just kind of making him think, because I don't want it to go in a direction that I want it to go to in. So my point is, again, to have a place where it's, kind of like a judgment-free zone. And I don't mean that in the sense of you can come in and do whatever you want.
That's a
you know
fact.
What I mean? Yeah, that's
get
not
you kicked out.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's not what we're saying. What I'm saying is, if you wrote something dark, there are dark things. That one of our Kingdom songs, "Light in a Darkened World," is my favorite Kingdom song. That's a more darker, emotional song. I love emotional pieces. Some people get scared of them. You know what I mean? And I'm like, but I don't want to knock somebody for that. Or if somebody plays a distorted heavy guitar, oh, that's heavy metal. You know what I mean? You better stop playing that, But if that's what you're feeling, at the time, you know what I mean? That's what I'm like, I don't want people to be like that again. And that's hard to find, is to find somebody that can really just kind of listen and say, hey, that's your expression. And then you come back years later and that same person has developed that style. And you're like, whoa, man, that's really good. You didn't get in their way of them, develop that creativity. So what we're going to do, and the conclusion we came to, like I said, initially we wanted to do like concert type things where, you lined up these people. And it's not saying that we wouldn't do that, but for right now, all the young people need some place to go and get together and talk and hang out and show what they're doing and all that. Because when I hear the recurring theme that I keep hearing with the young people is they miss going out. I know you like to go to concerts. Samson loved concerts,
Yeah.
And they go out. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just the going out, and that, Samson liked the whole, but you guys don't have that venue or that avenue to get together and share or collaborate even, and now with Zoom, man, we just met a brother yesterday in Lower Borough. He's from Austria. And he asked me about my equipment. I gave a talk in Lower Borough, and he asked me about my equipment. And I said, he said, oh yeah, I used to use Fruity Loop. And he was in his accent. He goes, yeah, I was a producer. He goes, I used to DJ. And now I was like, what? And he said, yeah. And I said, man, listen, we're trying to start this thing up, man, where people get together and we talk, you know what I mean? And share our ideas. And I said, would you be interested in something? He says, oh yeah. So I gave him my email. I hadn't heard from him yet. I said, shoot me an email. But we could never do that before. There's no way you could, get together with brothers from Mexico and Texas and all these different places. I mean, Samson just made a friend in Texas. He's going to be on with us. So that's where this skill creature thing is coming in. But then I got to give you big time, because you inspired it too with this show, man. It's nice. I love that you interview. You take time to listen to what people are doing, and that you have no idea. Like maybe you do have an idea of how much that means to I've listened to every one of your shows. First of all, I'm proud of you. You didn't tell everybody you're my adopted son. He said him and Samson are good friends. Him and Samson are brothers. Q was part of my family. He's
right. He's right.
Yeah,
I'm playing it low for if there's any strangers watching. That's why.
No, Q's my son, man. He's my son, and he knows a lot more. And we're not even going to go into all of that because we ain't going to get mushy on this one here. But anyway, but what I was saying was your show inspired me, because I've listened to every single one of your interviews, and I enjoy listening to people talk about their passions, and regardless, even if I can't relate to what they're talking about, and you allow them to do that. And I was like, you know, I'm not going to do nothing without my boys. You know what I mean? You and Samson got to be in this, and you know, Samson's heavy. He's a heavy hitter, you know.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I got to get my boys, and this is perfect. I'm like, it ties in perfectly with the Cool Hand podcast. And you're the one that's going to open the doors to everything and let everybody know what's up and put the information out there. And
yeah.
yeah. And we got Ryan Lloyd. Actually, I changed Ryan Lloyd's name to Sluggo because that Discord he put together, man. He slugged that one out the park, man. I was like that Sluggo, man. Sluggo Lloyd, man.
I like
Sluggo's
that.
a bad dude, man. We got Ryan involved, and we got Tevin, Samson, Cool Hand, and the old man. You know, I'll be behind the scenes, which is where I love to be, holding up the foundation of it. But we want to open up the doors on this so that those people that would like to come on you and share what you created, show what you created, even if it's not finished. And no one's going to push you to do anything, you know, you don't want to do. But just give some ideas of what you're doing and what you're working on, how you do what you do. We can collaborate and we can share. Ultimately, what I would love to see happen is I would love for somebody to say to me, hey, John, I love your music. Can I make a movie to it, or a music video? I would love that. I'm like, here, man, take it. What does it make you feel like? What do you see? What do you visualize? Does it make, you know, anything happen? Because you have, you know, videographers out there that don't do music, and maybe my music inspires them. I don't know, you know, or Samson's for that matter, you know. I know Samson and I've been doing a lot of things. I think it's pretty cool that, you know, he's gotten old enough now. You know, I just did a remix of one of his songs.
Right.
And that was like the coolest thing, to do a remix. And then he took my song. You haven't heard this song. Remember the one song I let you hear? I can't even think of what I call it. It's not B movie. Yeah. What was it? Wow. I can't even think of the name. It was the last song I let you guys hear. Oh, Healing Process.
Yes.
Healing Process. He took that, and the one night he said, Dad, I want you to hear what I'm doing with this thing. Man, I almost started crying, man. He came up with this hook, because he likes doing lyrics, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And lyrics he came up with this hook, and I was like, this is so cool. But see, that's what I'm saying. If we can get that collaboration going where, you know, and I know like I've heard Devon Ankle saying that he was looking for some bass lines, you know. He's like, well, what do I got to do to ask your dad for some bass lines? Just ask me. I'm like, I'm not that special. You know what I mean? If you want a bass line or something, you give me something to work on, you know. But that's basically the concept of it. And it'll tie right in with your show. And then as would be nice, like I said, again, if we get more people coming in and hey man, listen, Q, man, don't sit up there and act like you can't perform, man. Q's got some skills, man.
I'm a chatty patty now. I'm just behind the mic and talk and listen. I'm still working on, you know, now one of the beats that Jony Who played a little earlier. I'm supposed to, you know, drop some lyrics, drop a few bars, you know, on that, which is progress pending, but that's probably going to be my retirement song. I'm this is my thing now.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing that I was hoping would happen, is that because my beats are rappable, but they're so different than hip hop, you know, the sound of hip hop. And I was like, man, if somebody could rap on this or would hear this, that writes lyrics, and, you know, if somebody came on and they wrote poetry and they heard, you know, and they're like, you know, I could put something on that, take it, do something with it. Let's see what you got. You know what I mean? And see what we come up with. It's fun to me, man. It's not about it's mine, it's money, it's art, man. I think that's what ruined art was people paying for art, man. It ruins it, you know. It's supposed to be your expression, and your you know, it just, when you have to do it, I don't know, just takes away from it.
Yeah. You know, the one thing I wanted to mention about the Skill Creatures, kind of like an open forum type thing, as he was saying, as Jony Who was saying, if you're a beginner at something, like you think about somebody who wants to learn how to, maybe write better lyrics. Now you have a few people in there. Let's just say you want to ask Crowded Places about, hey man, you do a lot of lyrics and you do hooks too. I have a problem just coming up with something, or I think this sounds dumb, or I think, and you can kind of bounce ideas as well. And that's the
Mhm.
thing, you can get tips. I'll tell you what, this stuff was new to me, like all of this audio software and all the stuff that I use for the podcast now was new to me. Now imagine just having somebody readily available to you. It's not like IT or something, but somebody who knows a little bit about this. Now I had, like, your son and we got on Zoom one time and he showed me how to use one of the plugins that I had to kind of like balance out the audio
Mhm.
when two people are, talking. So just having different people from different fields of creativity, in a certain place at, a certain time, you may be able to pick up some new tips. You may be able to, bypass looking up a YouTube tutorial on how to do something. I think it could be very beneficial because
Mhm.
I've learned a lot since I started this podcast just from other friends. So I think it could be just very beneficial, and it's, it all comes from a good place. The people who are a part of this all want to, just have fun, and, have a nice space for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah, I think mid-February we need to open it up. I don't know if you want to put the email out there and have people email for when the date's going to be, or how do we want to do that?
uh um to be announced.
Okay.
To be announced. I myself
All right,
don't
I'll
have it
shut
all
up. I'll let
together.
you. Yeah, yeah.
No, I myself don't have it all together, but yeah, I'm once we're done with this video, I'm gonna try to get this out. Today is Monday, so I'm gonna try to have this out next Monday. So
Okay.
yeah, so maybe a few people will watch this and gain some interest. But the one last thing I had regarding the Skill Creatures initiative is, it's all about skill and creatures, creative people, but what counts as creative? What counts as a skill? Like, is there some real qualifications to be uh to want to be a part of this?
I don't, like I said again, I'm so big on, just from my experience in life. I think about how much time I wasted trying to sound like somebody else and trying to be like somebody else, and coming to find that I couldn't do it. And it's frustrating because you shouldn't. You should be yourself, and your own creative, as I mentioned, your own creative trajectory is going to be different from everybody else. You have to, like, I hear people saying, like, who are your influences? You got to know how to listen to music without it changing the way you do things. I mean, I've heard songs before. Like, my favorite group is Talk Talk, and I the main singer, Mark Hollis, was amazing, just real creative, but really kind of off the cuff type guy. And some of the songs that he wrote just touched me, like, and I could feel what he was feeling when he wrote them. There's so much emotion in everything, basically, that he did. Even his fluffy poppy songs in the 80s, when it was supposed to be, there's still an emotion that's there. But I carefully listen to his music, and I say to myself, I want to write music with that same feeling, but not like that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like, I don't want to follow that same pattern. And that's hard to do, especially when you're young, I mean, because if you go out there, everybody wants to know. Like there's this service, it's called Music Taxi. And Music Taxi, these guys used to be A&R, artists and repertoire guys, and what they do is they pre-screen music for television, movies, artists. They pitch songs to them, and it's legit. It really is a legit business. But when you go on there and they have the listings, they say has to sound like this guy, like that, like. And when I did it years ago, I'm sitting there like listening to these people's songs and I'm trying to write music like they write. And it's not coming out right. And I'm like, trash it. You know what I mean? And it's weird because then I go back and I listen to my computer to some of the old stuff that I had. And I'm like, this was pretty cool, man. You know, but it was at that time, it didn't sound cool to me because I was trying to make it sound like somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't do that. So I said all that to say, when you asked about what do I consider as creative, if somebody came on and had a tray of cupcakes and they were like, hey, I made cupcakes and look at my icing or whatever, I'm going to get into it. I could turn on channel 13 right now and somebody be crocheting and I'll enjoy it because I like seeing people make things, but more so just like when I hear your interviews with these people, I love hearing their passion for what they're doing. You know, they're passionate about something and we're supposed to be passionate about life, you know, and about the excitement of life and everything else like that, you know, and not being negative Nellies or whatever and all that stuff. So, you know, obviously artists, musicians. I know you've had a bartender on,
Right.
You've had, chefs are creative. What you just talked to Nick, photography.
Yeah.
And got to see them pictures, man. Them pictures are bomb, man. Those you seriously, man, that's what I'm talking about, man. That kind of thing. You know, I know Jamin's been on, you talked to him about his art and, Mike is into his fashion. If that's, if you've made something or you created something or whatever you're into, bring it, man. Bring it.
Y'all heard it. So, there's really not an excuse,
No.
All in all, there's really not an excuse. So
no. If anybody is negative and puts somebody down or tries to hog the whole thing, they got to go. Because like I said, it's supposed to be fun and free. I think it's going to develop into something more. Like I said, would like to do shows. We talked about having a beat the clock type contest for beat makers. You know what I mean? Where we have that. We could even potentially give like a theme, write a song to a theme, write a piece of art. Our theme for this week is happy or sad. Bring your artwork back. To me, that's going to inspire. That would inspire me to go to work, to come up with something creative or whatever. And we're open to ideas. It's not going to be all about what we want to do. It's going to be open to other people's suggestions, and we're going to be free to say, yeah, let's try that. You know what I mean? Let's try to make that happen. And what I'd like to see happen is it would happen like every, whatever time, open the doors up or whatever, open up Zoom or whatever, and people come in. And if you just want to come and just listen, just come hang out and see what everybody's doing. Because some nights I know that's what I'm going to do is just sit and listen. Nobody wants to hear the old man stuff. I want to hear I want to see what the young people are doing, Yeah. But it's about you guys though, man, really.
Yeah. So you heard it from Jony Who. We Skill Creatures. It's coming very soon. Today was February 1st. It's February 1st. So, maybe within a couple weeks at the latest, we'll have this thing off the floor. So that's what it is. This is the Cool Hand Podcast. Did you want to say anything else, Jony Who?
No, just thank you for having me on, man. This is nice. I feel honored. Am I your oldest guest?
You are my oldest guest.
I'll take it.
56. Yeah, he grew up in
I
the
think
60s.
I think that's pretty cool, man. Like I said, I love that you guys want to have me around, man. That says I'm doing something decent, I guess,
Oh yeah, you're a good man.
Yeah, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Thank you, Q.
Well, Skill Creatures coming soon, everybody. This is the Cool Hand Podcast. Something you got to deal with. Easy.
Easy.
All right, and that's that.
That's it.